Welcome to another Photoshop tutorial from tutorvid.com. This tutorial is going to do a Photoshop makeover on this portrait. You can get this picture over at Dreamstime. Put a link in the sidebar. So the first thing you should do when you're working on a photo is duplicate the background, so Control J. And then the first step to editing a photo is to get rid of all the small blemishes on the skin. So for starters, I would pick the Spot Healing Brush tool and then just go over all the visible blemishes by painting on them. This is a pretty quick method when there's not too much to do. And once you're done with that, we can lighten up underneath the eyes here. And for that, I'll use just a regular brush tool and then make it about a medium size. I'm going to pick a skin color from around here. And to do that, I press down the Alt key and then click. And then you can see in my color picker, I've picked a skin tone there. So wherever I click, it'll pick a different tone. And then I'm going to brush with opacity around 20%. And then do a couple passes around the eyes. And it's important not to go overboard here. We're not trying to make a plastic doll. If we look at the before and after now, you can see there's a bit of improvement. Now, one form of airbrushing, if you want to do that on your portrait, you could create another layer. So Control J, and then rename that layer to airbrush so you don't forget. And then go up to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And here we can go fairly high because we're going to bring it back later on. So I'll pick it 5 pixels and press OK. And now we're going to create a layer mask. Check out the tutorial on those if you don't know how they work. Now we're going to mask out this entire layer. So right now I have my background as black. If you don't have your default colors, press the D button to make the default colors, and then you can press Control Backspace. That'll fill your blur layer so it totally disappears. Now I have this blur layer that I can brush. If I brush white on my layer mask here, I'll bring it back and it will mask and it'll give a nice airbrushed look. I'm still brushing at 20% because I want it to go slowly, but whatever I brush now is going to get smoothed out. If I hide that now, you can see it's just a slight effect, and by brushing, and the more you brush, the softer the certain areas that you brush will get. So again, it's important not to go overboard here. We don't want to create a plastic doll. So something that still looks natural, where you can still see skin tones and a little bit of texture. If you look at the start, and now it's fairly close. The eyes and the lips look pretty good, but I'll add a little bit of contrast to them. So to do that, I'll add a curves layer. And now looking at the eyes and not at the rest of the portrait, I'll bring down the blacks quite a bit and then brighten the highlights. Now again, I'm going to mask out this entire layer mask by pressing Control Backspace. And then I'm going to paint it back in with 100% brush on opacity. And a curves layer for the lips. I'll darken them up and then make the highlights a little more spectacular. Control Backspace and then paint with the white brush. This way, if you later want to edit the lips, you can do this and just the lips will be edited. You can have fairly fine control. And if you wanted to edit the eyes a little bit, you can use the burn tool. Make sure you're on the shadows. Exposure, put around 20 or 30%. And then you can burn in here, and this will darken up your eyelashes without affecting the light areas. So now if we view the before and after, there is after and before. And that's it. Check out more tutorials on tutorvid.com.